Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are here with Evan Tennant, and he is the Director of E-commerce here at AdTaxi. He's going to go through a great presentation today on webrooming and showrooming and trends in consumer shopping behavior, especially online. And so today, just a couple housekeeping things before we go ahead and get started. We're going to go through the presentation. If you have any questions, please write them either in the question panel or in the chat box on the GoToWebinar control panel. We won't be taking verbal questions today, just with so many people on the line here, but we will get to all of your questions. I will try to get to them during the call. If not possible during the call, we will definitely follow up with an email after to answer any questions that you may have. We will also follow up with an email after this presentation today to include a recording of the presentation. So if you're taking notes like crazy and unable to totally focus, don't worry, we will actually have a recording of this, so you'll have everything as well afterwards. Without further ado, I would love to introduce Evan Tennant, our Director of E-commerce.
Good afternoon. Thank you for attending our Webrooming and Showrooming webinar today. I think we have some good information. I think this is things that I feel like I revisit these conversations constantly with clients, prospects, as well as just kind of within the space of e-commerce. Sort of talk a little bit about the models, how they're defined is a big part of what I'd like to talk about today, as well as a little bit about, how do you reach customers in the models? What's the product mix to kind of find the ultimate balance here? Some methods, a few examples. We have a few case studies in a lot of these. And then I kind of want to go into a little bit of detail about using some first-party data and then some of the power of the dynamic ads. I'm really looking forward to go through this. I just want to talk a little bit here about AdTaxi before we get too far into it. Obviously here, you're listening to me from rainy Denver, Colorado today, oddly, which it never happens. But AdTaxi is, we're running about 150 e-commerce campaigns specifically now. We're ranging in everything from consumer goods to pure play retail to events. We pretty much take the whole range: OEM, auto parts, furniture, all these things. And what we're really trying to focus on these days in terms of our e-commerce efforts is finding the balance between, continuing to increase revenue while decreasing the cost per acquisition. And webrooming and showrooming fit right into that because they simply are the dominating factors in understanding how to increase revenue while decreasing cost per acquisition. A little bit about me is on this page. I don't really know what to say. This picture is fuzzy and awesome. It's a cute picture of my girls. Happy to be back in Colorado. And yeah, e-com has been a big part of my life since I graduated college. I've done everything from pack boxes to own my own operation that made some of my hair gray. So looking forward to get into this here. We'll jump right into a little bit to starting with some of the definitions. These two models, have their own dynamics. I think starting with showrooming is obviously, it's the tried and true. Showrooming is what kind of ruined brick and mortar, as they say. Showrooming came out and allowed people to find something they wanted, go online, find it cheaper, and then buy it for that lower price. And as you see in point 4 there, transfer those profits. The transferring of those profits is exactly what the demise, or they claim the demise of brick and mortar was going to be, was that, basically these stores became showrooms for online merchants. The best example everyone always says, if you've ever seen those Best Buy graphics, basically, Best Buy became an Amazon showroom. That's kind of the first and foremost model that a lot of people think of. And I'm sure we've all been guilty of this, in terms of whether you've done it or in your mind, you've actually thought it that, hey, I think I might be able to get this online for a better price. That is what showrooming is. Showrooming is simply thinking that the best way to shop would be online, however, still wanting that in-store experience. So that's essentially the example of showrooming. There's always, if you look it up online, you can find Best Buy, Amazon pictures that are really funny and memes like that. But this practice has essentially set the standard for how e-commerce began in terms of pure play retail, where people were buying the same things, but just doing them online. And then that kind of led to, what was the solution for this? how could traditional merchants get into this? Outside of just opening their own online stores, what could they do? And that is what brought on webrooming. There's a few factors in webrooming. I am a personal believer in mobile being the boiling point for webrooming. That webrooming was one thing, and then this push towards mobile shopping, that's point two. And that kind of became the monster that is now saved brick and mortar. There's a lot of people who really embrace this model. My best example always comes down to the beauty brands, Ulta and Sephora. They do it the best. They really make it so that the in-store shopping experience ties in to an online experience on your phone, and it's been proven. It drives their success. It's absolutely an effective example of what the next stage of retail might be. But the webrooming's definition is the practice of researching products online before going into the store for a final evaluation and purchase. I think that eventually could grow into the practice of researching products while shopping physically in the store, because webrooming can encompass a lot of different things. Webrooming can encompass doing research on reviews, which is what Amazon serves as. It can also serve as learning to understand the market. So my example for that one is always cameras. I think cameras are easy. So you go in, you find a camera you like. Oftentimes you're going to do research and see what other cameras have those same features that you love. So kind of going deeper into that is sort of the essence of how you would, webroom something. I know as far back as about 2013, whether we defined webrooming or whether it really had that connotation to it, I think about 70% of people were doing it. And I know it's just gone up since then. So in terms of what it really means, I don't think there's necessarily something that defines webrooming besides the fact that people are doing shopping online and purchasing in the store. This stat here, millennials appear to spend most of their time online. 89% of them born between 80 and 2000 favor heading to a store. I personally fall into that age range, and I also find myself doing that. But there's two ways. I had a great conversation with a consultant recently who told me, hey, I think it's about patience. I don't think it's about anything else. What he was meaning was that we're so impatient that we don't even want to wait for 2-day shipping anymore. If we find something we want it right now. Going further with that, best example of that one is how there's Google, some of the Google Maps and some of the Google locals. That product is growing because people want to know if that camera is in stock in the Target that's closest to them. They want to go purchase it right then. They've done their research. They know it's the one they want. They've looked at the market. They want to go buy it right now. That is essentially webrooming. So, I think this is obviously the powerful model, but there's still showrooming existing, and you need to address it with your business. Why reach customers in both models? And this is a great. This is kind of my favorite part of all of it, because I think a lot of people are leaving showrooming off the table. 73% of adults are shopping online. I think that seems low. We'll roll with it. I would love to hear, what everyone, I'm sure everyone would raise their hand on that one. 70% actually make purchases. I think at some point we pretty much all make purchases online, whatever it is. I just actually purchased some insurance online without ever talking to somebody. Everything was done online. I don't think that's the most random thing, but I kind of thought of that as an interesting thing in terms of this webinar, that I literally did the shopping for a, relatively traditional person-to-person at some point product, did all of the research, did all of the shopping, did everything, signed the documents, got everything together, made the actual transaction on the site. I've never gotten anything from them. It all seems fine and dandy. So I think that these numbers are probably pretty stalwart in sense of maybe within that age range. You are looking for a little bit more shopping at the older, as you get maybe into the baby boomer range, maybe they're not necessarily comprising that 73%. So 42% make more than 20% of consumer goods purchased online. I think that the rise of groceries and home furnishings are kind of the last two frontiers online. I see more and more people shifting to that transition, whether it's having your groceries delivered in 2 hours or having some of the basic household necessities delivered in 2 days. I think that is becoming more and more standard, as well as people are getting more and more comfortable understanding shipping of larger items. So freight, things of that nature. So I think those two are both going to, help increase this. I know some of the stats, only about a third of the people shop online for cars. That's kind of been a big next generation one. I still am not sure what I think of that, just because I think there is a price limit to online purchases. Maybe if they can get over that hurdle, that one could come next. But I think embracing both web rooming and showrooming models, and you have to take some actions to understand where shoppers are at throughout their journey, and then also where you can kind of play in to that experience. So where does your business model fit in? Do you just have 10,000 square foot retail stores, big glass fronts? Is that your model, or is your model more, putting some of your resources into online shopping as well as continuing that brick and mortar presence? Or are you literally running, a warehouse operation where you have no front view, there's no customer facing, and you're simply looking to sell more products online? I think all three of these models definitely need to address both web rooming and showrooming to be successful. So some more examples of why you'd want to reach both models. 89% of consumers go to the retail store first. If 89% of the customers are going to the retail store first, then that is a web rooming opportunity. If 91% have also done shopping research online before going, those ones tend to be more to providing the ultimate seamless omni-channel, web rooming experience. 54% of who do research online first ask the retailer to match the price. So that is an example of upping your showrooming game. Continue to bring them in, continue to offer the experience, because they want to do it. They want it in their hands. They want to walk out that day and load it in their car. So I think understanding how you can play into a lot of the stuff with showrooming goes down to engaging on all platforms. So make it known that you will match the price. Make it known that your sales can be found online without coupons. Do the things that people, that allow you to level the playing field between you and those discount online retailers, or just competitors who are able to get their message out there a little better. Just make it easy to find it if they want it. 54% versus 52%. So that is shop online versus a retail store. That almost equals out. I mean, you really can think about, I think that makes the strongest case we have to embracing both models. I think personalization, we'll talk about that a little bit later too, but I think that is a big part of understanding the difference and a reason why you should embrace them, because both of these models require you to engage with customers on different levels. So personalization, getting the message that they want to hear, both of those things can be construed through web rooming and through showrooming. Why reach customers in both models? Continuing on with a lot of this, the seamless omni-channel experience is the way. And it lives in our lives more than we even think. And I think we do it in our advertising and with our marketing more than we realize. You want people to understand what your brand is across the spectrum. And that is the basis for omni-channel. Omni-channel has kind of had two definitions through time. Really, the first real omni that we heard was really about like looking the part. And that was, if you have a website, it needs to look the same on mobile. If you're running ads in your store, don't make them that different from online. If you have a persona, maybe a color scheme, maybe a mood board or branding, make that consistent through every way that you connect with customers. Make your MailChimp emails branded. Do all of that. The second stage of omnichannel has now become this personalized sort of continuing to be everywhere that your customers are along the path to purchase. And that's kind of that's where we sort of have our experience and where we tend to help a lot of our customers. I only pitch omni-channel campaigns. I do not believe that sitting with one product model and continuing to think that all of your customers are living within that channel is an effective way to run alongside your consumer. I think staying everywhere that they are and continuing to get in front of them and continuing to reiterate your message and your differentiators requires a multi-channel experience. Showrooming. So in terms of the dynamic and personalized for showrooming, that takes a little bit of a different form, but it's essentially still the same. And we will continue to talk about this as we go through. We have a little bit to say about dynamic, and we have there's a lot of exciting technological advances in the last couple of years in terms of making things dynamic and personalized. Best ways for success in showrooming and to beat that model is to be dynamic and personalized, to give them a reason to come in, to give them that differentiator that won't cause them to purchase in the store over online, and to have those things front and center that you know that consumer is looking for. So either remind them that product's in store, remind them that you're willing to match prices, remind them that you'll still deliver it, remind them that that you have 5,000 other products they can look at while they're there. Those things are all part of success in showrooming that come from more of a dynamic and personalized engagement across platforms. What are people buying online? People are buying everything online, but some of this information is great to say. 67% of men say electronics is the number one online shopping category. We do find that, but that is a legacy stat from showrooming. That is because the first thing that people thought they could save money on was TVs, and that's a stalwart in e-commerce. Is that the first thing to really tip a lot of the scales was electronics. That's why Best Buy is the best example of the Amazon thing, because electronics led the charge in terms of being cheaper online. And they're just widely available. It's kind of an easy start for, I think, a lot of online merchants. 59% of consumers purchase clothing online. Apparel is an absolute juggernaut of e-commerce. It's very easy to sell clothing. People tend to be open and engaged when looking for clothing. You're willing to take a lot of offers and entice a lot of new tastes. You're open to brands, and you kind of want to be on the next big thing. So that 60% in a typical month sounds about right. Everyone's got something that they look for online. So maybe that's an example of kind of, a cross web and showrooming model, because I think for me, there's clothes that I like to try on, but then once I kind of understand what I'm looking for, I would definitely shop online for those, and probably out of convenience more than anything. Only 32% of people would purchase a car online, and I would guarantee a lot of that 32% who purely purchase online, I mean make the whole transaction, those are probably used cars. Those are probably pretty specific. I think the dealers and I think some of the mindset on a new car has a lot to do with going in and trying it out, kind of understanding what you're getting. That's absolutely sort of part of that model. 55% of consumers say they'd be happy to purchase everything online. I think that will increase as we get more comfortable with food. I just heard a model the other day here outside Colorado, outside Denver, and where there is a online CSA market coming. So if you guys feel familiar with that, that is like local food. There's everything from, people sell everything from poultry to vegetables, everything in these group kind of buy situations, and an online marketplace for them. That's sort of another one of those breaking down the barriers. I just met with the client the other day that has all of their liquor, their distillery, and it's all delivered online almost. So that's a big shift as well. So as I think people get more comfortable with groceries, I feel like that will be the big thing that will push that number higher. And then as well as people get comfortable with some more expensive, bigger ticket items that are harder to move around the country logistically. I think those will be kind of the two models. Going into all this, so how do you make the ultimate product mix if you are going to be offering either of these models or one or the other? So what is the ultimate product mix? This is probably the number one question we get. We spend a ton of time talking about it. How do you balance this? I like to look at it as orbs. This graphic has orbs. I like to think of it as what circles can you overlap and which ones can you keep out of there. So if there's a bunch of bubbles floating around, how do you get the ultimate mix of bubbles to make this concoction for success? And which ones can kind of become mesh into one, and which ones sort of have to stay separate to themselves? There's a lot of variables that come into making the ultimate product mix, and every version of success is unique. But running on multiple platforms, the omni-channel that we just kind of talked about, is truly how I find that you find this perfect balance. take some of the online shopping habits. I thought this was great information. This is something that I feel like really plays right into how do you understand where your shoppers are and how do you get in front of them and stay in front of them. You know, frequency. 72% of consumers make an online purchase. So we know they're online. Convenience. Convenience is the number one consumers shop online. Running out of necessity is the number one factor for prompting their online purchases. I'm sure we've all heard about a lot of the, some of the VR technology, you know, Alexa, shopping, you know, using your phone, using Siri to order things. This is all a convenience result. Amazon, you know, the way they set up Amazon and, you know, Amazon Fresh, all of these, the whole growth of that is on convenience. It basically reminds you how easy it would be to just have it be delivered and not go anywhere. Don't get in your car. Don't waste the gas. You're busy. You have to work. The kids need to go to soccer. Let's make this easy. That's been the biggest grip hold that Amazon has kind of continued to grow, that I need it now and I want everything in my life to be, you know, coming delivered on my front door. I just want to open the box and have everything I want. Convenience. Instant gratification. I kind of went on this earlier, but in this instance, consumers say shipping costs are their least favorite aspect. I would love if there's one thing we could open up the line and listen to your questions about. I always ask everyone about the free shipping thing. I've been in the world of e-commerce so long. I don't really know what I think of free shipping. I feel like it's helped models I've been part of. I feel like it's ruined models I've been part of. I do think that a lot of customers still look for free shipping. And I do think that they don't quite get the, okay, if there's free shipping, I'm probably paying for this somewhere else. If someone has the lowest price and offers free shipping, then their margin is taking a hit and they are not as profitable as someone else. So where does that delta? If you sold 10% less, but your price is 20% cheaper, where does it match up? You know, where's your profit margin? What's your average order value? These are all things that I think people don't take into account when they think about free shipping versus trying to make a reasonable shipping cost. I like the idea of flat rate shipping. I think that that's a good one. But in terms of the instant gratification market, for them, flat rate shipping is prime. So that's 2 days or less. I just was actually at a conference. Interesting note, I spoke with UPS, actually just kind of more overheard / got into a conversation. UPS is considering making their service 3 days or less, period. That's it. So that they would maybe blur the lines between an express and ground thing, which sounds about in line with where we're going as a culture. And prime not being fast enough is pushing people back to brick and mortar. If you just want to grab a pair of jeans on your walk home from work, you'd probably do it over order online, but that goes back to convenience easily. And then the last one just kind of being the loyalty. You know, shopping online, consumers choose Amazon, eBay. They know what they're going to find on there. They know it's all there. They know they don't need to go to too many other places, and then they remain loyal. So if you found a poster that you're looking for on eBay that was random and hard to find, you would immediately go back to eBay for the next time you needed to find something similar. That creates a loyalty. Or if you felt like you tried out a new brand of home goods and you felt like their quality was exceptionally high, you know, they had free shipping, it was reasonably priced. Those kind of things create loyalty. So taking how much people are shopping, how much easier it is, how quickly they need that satisfaction, and then, you know, where do you hook them and continue to get them back? I think those are the habits that basically will form the basis of this conversation. In terms of what this is kind of a platforms and capabilities view, and I kind of left this in here just because these are essentially these are what the tools I would have to make that product mix within the ad taxi realm. So you can personalize this journey for every business, but these are sort of the tools that I would have in terms of figuring out how would I make the ultimate engaging, run alongside the consumer campaign that would bring in the most revenue and be the most affordable throughout the process. I think you can kind of start off, just to kind of glean a few of them, using display and video. Quantum is our proprietary product. It's essentially a hot hand algorithm that allows us to kind of continue to learn and grow while optimizing both your revenue and decreasing your cost per acquisition. So that's kind of the name of these. But these are the tools that you have to create the ultimate product mix here. So when you're looking at video, that is really a prospecting move, but you can take it down to a remarketing level, and we see a lot of e-commerce success in that. Social, obviously social continues to grow and morph. Staying in front of people when they're most emotionally vulnerable is what social has going for it. We are different people when we are shopping in the search engines or searching in them or even looking for something or trying to find answers than we are when we're on social media. So when you're on social media and you're out there just kind of exploring your product feed, watching people's videos on Instagram, you're in a different state than you are when you're looking for the closest Firestone to get your tire fixed immediately, or you're looking for, hey, my wife wants a new dishwasher, we got to get this process started. Social allows you to enter a different sphere with those people. They're not so distinguishedly looking at that. You kind of get an opportunity to get a different piece of them. I like to relate it to the holidays. The holidays, you also get a different shopper. Holidays, you have people who are open and looking for presents. If we were going to say you're closed for most of the year and you're open at the holiday, then social can somewhere fit in the middle of that, where you get a little bit of a different chance at people. Native. So native is more emerging with e-commerce. Native has always kind of been seen as more of a prospecting play. However, we're learning that quality native drives sales. Quality native drives revenue. You can bring things down and sort of get information in front of people that you have not, you couldn't have gotten before. So in terms of, getting someone to learn a little bit more about your story, which is half of the reason, a lot of people build really great websites now. Native is a really cool way to leverage the content you have, find a publisher that works with you, take advantage of their audience, and then bring some new customers home from it. I think people get confused about what really quality native is, and I really always try to, native is not just the stories that seem outrageous, but you get clickbaited on the headline. Native can also be a really qualified, talented retailer saying what they say best. 10 best washing machines this year. You would read that probably from Home Depot. Editor of Rolling Stone's favorite albums of the year. Those can be native that can be actually high quality. There's things like reviews, things of that sense where you put that quality content you have. So if you have 100,000 reviews on what the best carpet in the world is, you can make a native play with that. You can take blog content. These are all high quality native. Search, SEM, and shopping, going to the fourth platform, that is the basis of e-commerce. Obviously, search, getting in front of people when they're actually looking, nailing that information that's correct when they need the information now. That is all part of search. And then shopping, the big advantage of shopping and where it kind of fits into this product mix is that shopping satisfies a lot of those points we just had in terms of why shopping online. Shopping nails the convenience. Shopping nails the desire for now, and it also allows you to kind of compare prices. So a PLA that's a product listing ad. That would be Bing Shopping, Google Shopping, technically Facebook carousel ads are also PLAs. That is a single click direct to product. So it allows you an avenue to shop from the ad. So rather than go to a landing page where there's a lot of information on landing page, we all take advantage of landing pages and try to say we want to get as much as we can to in front of the customers, talk about our business, let them know what's coming. Shopping allows us to kind of, it's like an instant pipe to that product. So you can add it to the cart. Google's checking on this on Google Shopping, Google's checking it. They're saying, we want to make sure that whatever you put out in that feed, whether it's your return policy, the image, the price, we want to make sure that's all accurate because we're showing this ad on that basis. We are allowing this consumer to sort, filter, learn based on the information you're providing, so we want it to be accurate. And then we're helping you in terms of providing something where they're going right to the product. They're not going to a landing page. They're not going to your home page. There's no form fills, there's no lead gen. It is based on actual revenue. So shopping tends to be a great option for a lot of people who are looking for a basis for a product mix. I would say SEM is also another base, just because really it's the one chance you get to be exactly what someone's looking for without them knowing it. Compare it to social. Social would be getting something to somebody who never knew they needed it. That's how I kind of look at it. One of my favorite colleagues here in the office always makes jokes about all the things he buys on Facebook, and he's like, I don't even know how this happens, but next thing you know, I have this other thing that I never even knew existed, and I never thought I'd buy, but I have it, whether it's weird socks or gadgets or any of that. And to me, that's always a really great antidote for how I feel about social. You get them in a different spot. Search, you get them in the traditional spot of just like any shopper, like they're at the store. First of all, have your business open light on, and then also have the Oreos in stock when it's a cookie store. You know, like have what they want right in front of them. Next capability to go into is dynamic ads, and we'll talk a lot about these in a little bit. Dynamic ads are what we're finding to be highly effective, as well as very informative for your business. They allow you to cover a ton of ground. I mean, you can promote, you can cross-sell, you can learn, you can continue to run alongside someone, remind them, offer new, you continue to up your offer, and that's a decay model. So maybe after they have added 3 things to the cart, you offer them 10% off, and maybe once they come back and keep one of them in the cart, you can up it to 20%. These kind of dynamic models that are available now are extremely powerful. Or maybe one that we'll go to in terms of a case study coming up is, what is the cross-sell? So if you bought X, what is Y? And we kind of came up with this logic for a camera retailer, and it worked extremely well. If you bought this body, this Canon camera body, what are all the accessories that fit on it? Show those to the customers who you know from your personal CRM data bought the Canon bodies. So we go a little bit more into that first party stuff as well. Feed optimization. A lot of people forget about feed optimization, but a big part of, I guess you'd say, 4 of these things on this list will include parts of display and video. But social, effectively for e-commerce, requires a feed. Search for shopping requires a feed. Dynamic ads require a feed. Those are a lot of different feeds. And let's say you're using a platform like, we can just go ahead and start with Magento or WooCommerce. Those require dynamically different needs for those feeds. So you're probably either going to pay for it on one end or the other. You're going to hire a developer, you're going to pay for plugins, add-ons, or you're going to try to make these yourself and spend a ton of time. I feel like making feeds is one of my least favorite, and it's one of the hardest things to do. You get products rejected, you spend a ton of time trying to figure out just basic information about your products, GTIN numbers, product dimensions, why are your image URLs broken. Feed optimization to me is a time-saving, platform leveling option. So you get your feed optimized, you have someone help you, whether it's optimizing the sense of just getting all your products up, or optimizing the sense of what are people using for this title that are actually selling the item. So someone who actually selling, let's say that you're selling TVs, going back to that. Let's say you're selling the TVs, why is Best Buy beating you? Maybe there's something they put in the title. Maybe they put Samsung Smart TV instead of Samsung 36-inch TV with smart option or something. Those kind of optimizations can be valuable, and we feel like that gets you really a lot further down the road than people who don't use feed optimization. I'm a big advocate. Kind of going into taking the omni-channel approach. Now that we've kind of talked through the products, talked about some of the opportunities with this perfect product mix, let's talk about what happens when you do omni. So there's a Walgreens study. Shoppers who use this app spend 6 times more than those who don't. So that is basically an example of staying in front of someone wherever they are. So those people are using those apps when they're in the store, whether it's to see what's on sale, research what's possible, or you're walking out the door from work. There's a Walgreens, within the parking lot of your office. You you might open up that app and see if they have what you need, or just kind of kick open ideas in terms of, oh, I need creamer for the morning. I don't feel like going to the grocery store. That's probably something you could learn from an app like that, or find coupons. There's so many opportunities with that app, but that's an omni-channel. That's another way of getting in front of that customer. That is a second chance to say that I'm in front of this customer, I'm continuing to run alongside them, and I'm providing new avenues to market my products to them. That's the basis of omni-channel, but this is contributing to that perfect product mix, which omni-channel, perfect product mix kind of can be synonymous. They both have their own nuances and true definitions, but I think of them effectively the same. If you were to tell me that you wanted the perfect product mix, I would say it's going to be some kind of omni-channel solution. Macy's example. Macy's customers who use multiple channels spend 8 times more than who just shop in one channel. Absolutely. That goes back to that basis of omni-channel, like I told you, kind of definition 1 flowing into definition 2. 1 being the content side. You have to provide consistent content throughout the platforms, into definition 2, which is run alongside them with your marketing / don't let them forget that you are who they want to buy from. And that's in Macy's, I don't know how many of your Macy's customers, I have them before, they do a good job of that. They do get you with their sales. It's almost hard to figure out what your price is going to be because there's so many things going on. You're getting coupons here, you're getting a discount, then they have in-store, and then maybe for signing up for something, and down, getting maybe for the app you get an offer. Those kind of things can be part of a great product mix, but it's all part of an omni-channel approach. So if you want to focus solely on that point of conversion, that's absolutely ignoring the journey. I really like that statement, because if you focus on the point of conversion, you're going to have the best checkout page and cart on the planet. But you're probably not going to have as many customers as you could have if you figured out where they live. If you figure in the journey, if you figure out where they're at, where they're susceptible, where are you seeing this? This would all come from data that you can gain from having an omni-channel advertising campaign, an omni-channel marketing solution, or just an omni-channel, experience across. So whatever your presence is, making it omni-channel, has benefits outside of advertising, has benefits outside of final revenue numbers, but it all contributes to that. We absolutely use a very, I would say, omni-channel approach to also doing your budgeting, which is the hardest part of all the perfect product mix. So we've defined what the perfect product mix could be. These are all the tools that we have in the tool shed. Now, how do you decide what money goes to what? That's the next really hard part. What we do is we actually try to pace a lot of that out. So we try to decide, almost on a level of what would your daily budget per platform, per product be, and how is that effective? And a lot of times the best way to do that is just to back out what your goals are. So if your goal was to make 400 sales a month, and we know your average order value is this, we also know that your cost per acquisition is this, and we see your conversion rate is this, let's say, then we can make a perfect pace for you to continue to reach your goals. And that can be extremely hard to do. We have a lot of algorithms we use, and we're very successful at it. And I feel like that is a big part of helping us differentiate ourselves by not overspending. So if you get into all these things and you're going to delegate all this money to them, what is the best way to figure out exactly, how do we make this final plan? What does it look like? So I'm going to run search, I'm going to run display, I'm going to run social, and I've got $15,000 a month. How would you break that down? Well, you got to look at your priorities, your path, and your products. If your priorities are simply to increase revenue, then you probably need to sit and focus on doing something that's on the lower part of the funnel. And if your priority is to literally get your name out there to more people in a certain DMA, then you need to focus on the top of the funnel. And balancing that out is going to go into your budget too. This case that I really like, this one was kind of a unique proposition. We work with this client on a lot of new strategies. They're doing some new cool stuff even right now, but their challenge is basically they wanted to improve their return. So return is a big deal to them. Obviously, it's a big deal to everyone. They were just saying, hey, we get the sales. We have the business for it. We have the inventory, we have the structure. We just want to see if we can up our ROAS. So what we basically did is we focused on taking their catalog, deciding what delivers, and then continuing every month to retweak that. So to revisit it all the time. So we're revisiting what works, what's selling, and how we can continue to make more money. So where the product mix comes into this one was that we took basically a display budget and we balanced the retargeting and prospecting, but allow it to be dynamic. So that's some float to it. And then we basically do small geo, they're brick and mortar as well as online campaigns close to the stores to kind of feed that. So we're capturing online sales. We're effectively promoting and prospecting the business, but we're also continuing to increase ROAS by making sure that these are all, bid on effectively. We're not spending too much, but we're spreading it across the channels, ultimately to continue to get more ROAS. I like this example for the perfect product mix. It uses quite a few platforms. The budget is spread and balanced very well. We make the most use of it. It works out great, and it tended to increase not only the ROAS, but the transactions and the revenue. So finding your perfect product mix, this is what it would look like. How can you balance it? What works for your business? These are the kind of results we'd like to see from that. Using first-party data. This is another big part of all of the concepts that we'll talk about today. Would be what tools already live within your tool set that you don't need to even go outside and look for. So you don't need to go out and pay to reach new customers when you could essentially take the data that you own and continue to reach new customers using the tools that are provided. I obviously am huge on getting this data from people, helping them understand it. I would like to also say that first-party data is not endangered with some of the recent events. First-party data is what you have been handed by your customers. And you'll see the strategies we're talking about, they're not invasive. They're not something where we're taking that data and doing anything but learning from it to create new audiences and align the audiences we have already. That's really what the first-party data message that I'm going to bring today is about. And I try to mention that. Also just got back from a big developers conference. This was probably topic number 2. Listened to a lot of talk about data sharing, privacy, all that. And I feel like that what it's coming down to is effectively using first-party data is the solution to that. So, let's see here. Did I go the wrong way? Okay. So the first-party data can effectively touch all of these stages in the funnel. I don't love the funnel, I guess you'd say, model in terms of it as an example, but it works. It's worked forever, and it gives us a good chance to explain all this. So in terms of using the first-party data, in terms of demand generation, attracting people, as well as going into influencing them all the way down through increasing the transactions, getting them at the bottom of the funnel purchasing, and especially into growing loyalty. So where first-party data comes into all of this would essentially be, how could you use the data that you have to find new audiences, aka Google Customer Match, Facebook lookalikes. Those are audiences where you import your first-party data, and they tell you what the most effective way to get that same audience or more valuable would be. Those are both great ways to not only cover the top of the funnel, but a lot of that pushes down to increased transactions because those are valuable customers who have already kind of been filtered, let's say. In terms of customer acquisition, so getting leads, getting more traffic, first-party data absolutely comes into here, because what you can do is you can take the model that you have, whether it's intent signals, you can look and glean all the information that you come into. So what does your GA say about who actually fills out your lead forms, who actually makes purchases, who actually calls and purchases? So within the Webrooming and Showrooming models, where are you getting all these people? Are you seeing people spend more time online and shopping in a certain DMA than they are in the brick and mortar? Are you seeing that you're able to dedupe transactions and figure out who's purchasing online or in the store after visiting online? That's all first-party data that you're pulling to make all those assumptions and learn all that about your customers. So customer acquisition is a big part. In terms of increasing transactions, the first-party data model will help you in so many different ways, because what you can do is, let's say that someone thought you have an email list. Well, you can take that email list and not only kick out a drip campaign like you would that says we're running this sale to people who have never bought, but you can also promote new products in that sense. You could also take first-party data and let someone know you're opening another store. You can take first-party data and see who has come in, who has visited those ads, who's used those coupons, and what coupons are effective. So if you ran a 20% off and for some reason didn't do as good as a 15% off, you can take that first-party data and next time, make 15% off, change the creative, and you feel like you'd have more success. In terms of the loyalty, that comes down to taking your first-party data and understanding what your customers actually want. What do they want to see in the store, in the showroom model? How would you get more people to not just leave and go buy online? How would you get people to actually purchase? Would that mean and this is what beauty's done so well, and that's why I use Sephora and Ulta. They do crazy stuff. Like they'll show reviews in the store. They try to make it easy to research or do demos or figure out ways online and in the store. They try to make it so that it's almost like an interchangeable experience. And they do a great job of it. Whether it's you go in there and they'll be like, what was the example? I actually went into Sephora to see some of their examples, because they do you can make your own, you can try on some of the makeup and stuff online. You can upload your photo, try on, and that goes into personalization too, but you can go into try on some of the makeup stuff, and then when you're in the store, they'll tell you where those products are. So I think that's a great example of offering the full web rooming and showrooming. You're covering both bases. You're saying, we don't care where you buy, just come in. You're also not really allowing them to go out and do research somewhere else. So if all of a sudden they're like, oh, I love this Urban Decay, lipstick. I love this one shade. Make sure they know that it's in the store, where they're going. Make sure they know that the price, you can get a coupon or there's some to it. Hook them on every level. Don't let them go out and read the reviews on Amazon. Don't let them, just keep them within your system, and you'll have a lot better. And that's essentially how you'd win web rooming and showrooming at the ultimate level, with being able to continue to keep them within your system and be able to provide them the best experience no matter where they looked. So use your data. So this is essentially explains kind of what I talked about a little bit. You captured this data. You are not selling. You're not going out and doing anything with this data besides using it for your own marketing. This is not you doing something that's invasive, that people, that sort of is like, hey, I got duped by this. If they came to Sephora and they signed up, they probably know they're going to get a makeup newsletter. They probably know that that your customer system is going to understand what they bought from you. These things are understood. These are not new policies that are like, oh my gosh, I didn't say I would share my data with them. So that's one thing I kind of want to incorporate in terms of that. So online data. So this would be data that's gleaned from visits to your website, such as views, completions. This is where the cookies come in, and you're able to do a lot of the personalized efforts down the road. But this data, its definition is essentially taken from visits to your website. So that's how you would learn about that. So then the offline data, so that is essentially taking the data that would come from your POS system, what happens in your store, those trends, and sort of taking that, and then you can use that back with the online data. But it would essentially just kind of be like a second trident to that. CRM data. I'm a big proponent of getting CRM data for a lot of campaigns. CRM data can tell you so many things. CRM data can tell you about what kind of customers you have, what they're up to, where they're at, how often they purchase, which can give you a ton of data in the sense of creating new customers. That would kind of go back to that customer match, the lookalike, some of the products that are offered. Offline data. So offline data would essentially be, taking things from your customer service section. So chats, provide some data. These are all things that you could pipe into your CRM and use to understand what would A, be the most effective product mix, B, how customers are web rooming and showrooming your business, and C, what other data collection things could you do to increase your revenue and decrease your cost per acquisition. Bottom line, what it says right there, that's what I tell about every customer. The more first-party data you can share with me, the bigger a head start we can get towards getting valuable and effective audiences. Quantum has a lot of first-party audience capabilities. We not only can take your onboarding, we bring it in, we understand where it's most effective and how we can do it. We have LiveRamp to do the first-party ID matching, and this takes offline, online, and kind of allows us to do a lot of things. Persona creation is a thing that's a product of first-party data. So you can understand who your ultimate customer is. If your ultimate customer is a 32-year-old, she's blonde, she went to CU, she is a high-income earner, she's super valuable to your business, that's a persona you created probably from first-party data. You can target or exclude. That's something that Quantum does very well. So you can say, okay, hey, we don't really think it's effective for us to spend any money on the 50-year-old golf-loving male. And that can be cut out of there, which allows you to learn on a different level. That's what I'll say about that one. Just because if you know that there's an invaluable part of your audience, then you can turn that off and continue to focus on what is valuable. There's a lot of data that can be blinding in that sense that you don't really want. That can either be maybe you ran a promotion that brought them in, and that's the only reason they're there. Maybe there was one product that was in your catalog. That's the only reason they're there, and now it's gone. Those are the kind of things that can be done in Quantum to sort of help you continue your efforts. Predictive modeling. So this goes into the lookalikes, the customer match, and then also what it can go into would be cross-sells, upsells, continuing that dynamic capability to help you web room even better. So if I bought the Urban Decay makeup at Sephora that I tried on of my picture and it looked great, what else would I buy? That can also be done in predictive modeling. That comes from lookalikes. And then you can also say, yeah, who's the next stage of this? So if 10 out of 10 who bought this lipstick also bought this lotion, let's say, then that is an absolute cross-sell opportunity you cannot ignore. That can be done via predictive modeling, which is part of first party. In this case, this is a car specific one, but I love this using data to sell more cars, because this essentially talks about what can be done with each of these products. So in the sense of customers who bought from you, so let's say that those people are going to be in your CRM currently. So they're in there, but are they current? Questionable. So what you can pull from them and what you can run by them or someone to effectively use to continue to get them as a customer would be a Gmail campaign, a YouTube campaign, an SEM bid enhancement, so that you know those people have that value. Facebook, you could basically make a custom audience. You could pull them from a lookalike. And with the Quantum first party for display, for native, you could use predictive modeling and match audience. So these are just some of the things that are kind of advantages of getting more and more first-party data in terms of spanning both web rooming and showrooming and continuing to run in front of people. And these are just some of our capabilities for it. I often use this chart to kind of decide what that head start is. So, or chart somewhere. What can we take from all of these? So what can we take from service records? Or in a lot of cases, I had a retailer who was telling me that what they had was they owned a variety of jewelry stores, and then they started online. So what they said was, hey, we reached out to our whole prior brick and mortar customer set, and we said, who wants to opt in for this email for our new store? So that list we made another audience off of. So those kind of first-party things really push your agenda. This is a case study where we did an exceptionally detailed product segmentation bidding strategy based on what customers were buying and what was working within that first-party data. Huge opportunities, used a lot of retargeting to refine that first-party, who actually was that valuable person, offer them POAs. So these guys just sell. This is pretty much really high-end tuning parts. So taking that first-party data was really valuable because we were able to say, these people have this item. We know what to target them with. This is where we're at. The power of dynamic ads. This will be our last section today, and it's not least by any means. Dynamic ads are the future of a lot of advertising. Personalized is the term of the year. I'm sure you guys are going to hear it more and more. Personalized. So that's your web experience, that's your page, that's your ad, that's everything. Personalized dynamic ads are effective, and in this situation, we make them highly personalized. So it's relevant, it's current, it converts. You can scale them because the bigger your pool gets, the more you can do of them. They're cross-reach. You can run them across tablets, desktop, mobile, and then you also gain a ton of knowledge from them. These are the big advantages of dynamic right here. This is laid out as it gets. They're relevant. They're now. They work. It doesn't have an end. It touches all the corners, and you gain a ton of information about your customers and about your business from dynamic ads. There's two models. So we basically run certain products for prospecting and some for remarketing. So in the prospecting sense, what we want to do is we want to take a pool of people and we want to see who will engage and try to take them to the next step in the funnel. So we want to build awareness and we want to bring more people who are either engaged or willing to be engaged into continue to try to build them into customers. So that's where predictive modeling comes in. That's where we take some of that data from first party and say, okay, who's worth the most in this pool? And then we also put a cap on it so that you understand who is actually effective and who continues to just, kind of be some kind of fringe. They won't be a customer. They're kind of a fringe shopper or something. And you have to understand who is worth targeting with these ads. And a lot of that comes from predictive modeling and some of that data we just talked about. In the remarketing efforts, this is the cream of the crop of dynamic. This allows you to say, you have taken this action, so my reaction is to serve you this. So that is converting visitors into customers. So you can segment people. You segment people, and then you essentially get them down into a customer. So you basically say, okay, everyone who looked at this Canon camera, we are going to target them with all of these lenses because we know they fit on that body. And then once they buy that lens, then you target them with any other product that could be on there. So you're continuing to dynamically refine that customer and your catalog. So you use custom creative, you use different bidding strategies, and then you continue to segment. This goes back to that funnel harmonization that we kind of talked about here. You can go back into this by saying, where in this can we be dynamic? Social collections are dynamic. You can dynamically serve some of the YouTube shopping ads. So every part of the funnel you can put dynamic in there. Dynamic social. You basically can do dynamic remarketing. All of these, you can take that dynamic data. So you gain it, and then you can use it to personalize and effectively deliver your message to people across webrooming and showrooming. So in a webrooming instance, what you would do is, let's say you have got some CRM data, someone comes in, and you know that if they are in the store reading reviews about what the best vacuum cleaner is, you also know that you can, on that page, they're probably going to buy bags, or there's a certain attribute of that vacuum that they know they're looking for. That would help you in the webrooming sense. In the showrooming sense, what you're able to do is show your prices. We have the lowest price. This is our price. Just put it right up in front and center to continue to get people to come back instead of looking around for a better price. You get it out front and center, and you know that because of the data you've gained, and you're able to dynamically deliver the exact product that they want on that one. This is the camera retailer case study. This is the ultimate dynamic example we have. Very, very complex, but really cool idea in terms of using quantum to find an audience and then continue to cross-sell because we know what these people have done. So this one has a ton of learning, and a ton of predictive modeling, and is extremely personalized to something that CRM, first-party data, provided to us. So it kind of covers the whole spectrum, and it's a true web rooming play at its core. Because these people are essentially, either we get them when they come in, we get them on something they've already purchased from us, regardless of if it's online or in the store. We still are continuing to kind of stay with that idea. I know we're running out of time, so I'm going to kind of wrap up here. But I just want to go through a few takeaways here. So both web rooming and showroom provide opportunities as well as create obstacles in this path to purchase for new customers. As long as you identify these and where you fit into them, you will find success. I honestly believe I've seen success on both sides. I think that as long as you can say, okay, I know what web rooming and showrooming are. I know what I can do to win each model. Here are some tools I have. You can win. Using the right product mix and taking advantage of tools that are both emerging and that lie within your current customer data will propel you. I hope that those tools that I showed, understanding the perfect data mix, understanding your first-party data, and knowing that you can use dynamic, that all is ways to increase revenue and decrease your costs. Personalization is the word for 2018. I think web rooming was it maybe a year or two ago or last year, but personalization is it this year. And that means maybe it's the experience when they land on your site, but dynamic ads are the easiest and first step for a lot of people into personalizing that shopping experience. Maybe you don't have $100,000 to spend on your website, but you can get a dynamic campaign started, maybe a social one or something, where at least you're delivering effective ads to people and continuing to promote them being your customers. They're on their phones, they're web rooming you, get in front of them with the right message. So I thank you guys for your time today. I really appreciate it. I hope that we could take as much of these core concepts away as possible today. If you need a chance to reach out to me, I'm always willing to talk about a lot of this stuff. I love finding new examples for web rooming and showrooming, as you probably heard today, and I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you.